Alright, here's what we're doing, mate. We're gonna look up a certain Wikipedia page because I remember this. I became aware of a certain United States court case called United States versus approximately 64,695 pounds of shark fins. That's so specific. Why is it so specific after the word approximately? So it was several years ago when I saw that Today I Found Out was hiring new writers. I'm not a writer, or at least I wasn't at the time, but I was so enthralled by the idea of making Simon Whistler say stupid shit. And I just had happened around that same time to spot this case. So before I even read it, I'm going to say what I think I can remember off the top of my head. This is some kind of special type of case, of which there only been like 1 or 2 dozen, where the opponent is listed as the illicit material itself and not a guilty person. I forget how it works. There was a fancy Latin name for it. I'll find out what it is in a minute. And the reason why shark fins are illegal is because of the act of shark finning. These people don't just catch and kill sharks and take them whole, sail home. They capture shark, cut its fins off, and let the bulk of the body of the shark just fall and die to the ocean floor. It's because the bulk of the shark meat is not actually profitable, at least nowhere near as profitable as the fins. So many fishing vessels decided to just cut off the fins and only store those on their ship. That way they can collect a big load of fins and take that home without having to stop more frequently to offload entire shark bodies, which are not as profitable and harder to get rid of unless you just leave them at the sea. But since sharks die without their fins and they only store the fins in order to get through stuff faster, they go through many sharks very quickly. They kill so many sharks it decimates the local population. They say, okay, that's all well and good, but why are shark fins valuable? That is because of shark fin soup. Shark fin soup is it's like clear noodles, kind of, almost. That's what one of the few things I remember is that one of the things that was suggested as an alternative to shark fin soup was glass noodles. Seems like there is imitation shark fin soup, and this is like a delicacy. It's delicious. It's something that you would buy for your coworker, someone you want to have a good business relation, like the same kind of reason that you'd buy someone a steak, for example. It's a status thing. So let's pull up a Wikipedia page, which makes this a little bit more clear than my memory alone can suffice with. The shark fins provide texture while the taste comes from other ingredients. Interesting. Yeah, that's probably why it makes it easy to imitate. Why glass noodles are a viable alternative. 72 million sharks. That is crazy. Like, again, yeah, this is possible because they only store the fins on their ship. That's not, their bodies are not slowing them down. Oh yeah, so this is common in China. I believe it's mainly China, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. Okay. The taste of the soup comes from the broth, as the fins themselves are almost tasteless. Rather than for the taste, the fins are used for their snappy, gelatinous texture, which has been described as chewy, sinewy, and stringy. Chris DeMar of Time called it somewhere between chewy and crunchy. Anyway, back to the United States versus approximately 64,695 pounds of shark fins. Again, how is that approximate if you're to the nearest 5 pounds? Well, I guess it's not to the nearest. It's maybe okay, whatever. Error bars approximation, you know. So it was a 2008 decision of the Court of Appeals, the Ninth Circuit, concerning civil forfeiture and admiralty law. I gotta slow down. Stephen Reinhart wrote for a 3-judge panel that ordered that the shark fins be returned to their owners, reversing a decision by the Southern District of California. Geez, the government did not appeal the case further. Clearly, I didn't read enough about this because I already forgot that. It's just so many overlapping things. On board the ship, they found shark fins equivalent to 13.3 tons. Nope, sorry, 32.3 tons, 29.3 metric tons, but without any corresponding shark carcasses. The Coast Guard, upon further investigation, found documentary evidence that the KD-2 had arranged to meet fishing vessels at predetermined locations and buy various quantities of fins. These activities were believed to violate the Shark Finning Prohibition Act of 2000, SFPA. The fins were thus seized and the ship escorted to San Diego, the nearest American port. So let's read about the Prohibition Act, and let's check that I got its logic right. The Shark Finning Prohibition Act was signed into law by Clinton on December 21st, 2000. It had forbidden finning by any vessels in the United States exclusive economic zone up to 200 nautical miles. Numbers, don't care. And possession of fins by any U.S. flagged fishing vessels on international waters. Okay, that's where our situation occurs, international waters. It also prohibited any fishing vessel from landing in a U.S. port with shark fins whose weight exceeds 5% of the total weight of shark carcasses landed or on board. Yeah, these provisions left loopholes that would successfully be exploited in its first court test. First court test. Is that the case I'm talking about, or is it something else? Oh yeah, by the way, if it's not obvious enough, this part's important. If they are still alive, the sharks either die from suffocation or are eaten because they are unable to move properly. Of course, they can't move at all without their fins, and they have no way to defend themselves from other predators by swimming away. Not that, I don't know, how many predators are there of sharks? But even if that weren't a factor, they need to move to breathe. That's how they get the water through their gills to, I think, I don't know marine biology. I don't know, maybe I do. Maybe I just don't trust myself enough. I just know that watching SpongeBob as a kid doesn't qualify as education. So let's go back to this case. Federal agencies filed charges against the KD2's owner, operator, and captain. They further sought forfeiture of the fins under in rem jurisdiction. Oh, is that the term I was looking for? Yes. Yep. Power about or against the thing. There was another in rem jurisdiction case about like bouncing balls or something. Oh my goodness, here they are. 422 casks of wine. Oh man, this is already like a song. 422 casks of wine on the wall. 43 gallons of whiskey. 40 barrels and 20 kegs of Coca-Cola. 95 barrels of alleged apple cider vinegar. One book called Ulysses. One book? What is with this book? Wait, this sounds like a freedom of speech thing. Hold on. What is going on here? What? Yes, a case dealing with freedom of expression. At issue was whether James Joyce's 1922 novel Ulysses was obscene. In deciding it was not, District Court Judge John Monroe Woolsey opened the door to importation and publication of serious works of literature that used coarse language or involved sexual subjects. The trial's court decision was affirmed in a 2-1 decision. Appeals for the Second Circuit, which confirmed that the offensive language in a literary work is not obscene where it does not promote lust. But Judge Woolsey's trial court opinion is now more widely known and is often cited as an erudite. I have to look that word up. And discerning affirmation of literary free expression. Okay. What is erudite? Having or showing great knowledge or learning. Okay, this change is a little long. Let's go back to shark fins, resulting in the unusual case title, in rem jurisdiction. Judge Barry Ted Moskowitz granted the order in 2005. The BOTA owners appealed to the Ninth Circuit, which reversed Moskowitz's decision 3 years later. I'm just assuming it's Moskowitz. I'm just assuming. It held that the seizure was illegal. The KD2's activities did not meet the definition of a fishing vessel under the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act, and since it did not, under the SFPA, the fins could not have been lawfully seized at the high seas. In 2011, President Barack Obama signed the Shark Conservation Act into law, which closed these loopholes. So wasn't that, like, the act of shark finning was still illegal here, but this was a case of illegal search and seizure, a constitutional violation. Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizure, right. So it's the SFPA dependent upon the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act, enacted in 1976. I'm looking for a reference to the 1976 Act on the SFPA Wikipedia page. Here's the shark finning vessel picture. Hello. It's low res. Okay. Those are compact, man. A lot of sharks died for that small room. Wow. Magnuson Stevens Fishery Conservation Management Act. His concern was resolved with an amendment that relied on the definition of a fishing vessel in the Magnuson Code. This included not only those engaged in fishing, but vessels that aided and assisted such fishing, including the refrigeration, storage, and transport of fish. Congress believed that the language is sufficient. I haven't read the context for this section. I guess the Wikipedia page isn't going to directly refer to the Magnus whatever, because this isn't the text of the law. This is Wikipedia. It will cite it. It will link to the... Oh, man. I don't want to read the actual thing. Here we go. This may or may not be... Are you kidding me? Something fishy is going on. Thanks! I just had to go on a tangent to find the proper meme to respond to someone with. Okay. What am I? So 2002, the U.S. Navy destroyer USS Fife was in international waters southeast of Acapulco, Mexico, mispronounced that at first, when it observed the King Diamond II, shipping company in Hong Kong, its home port. The Fife's crew asked questions over the radio. It learned that the KD-2, having sailed out of Honolulu some time ago, was on its way from Honolulu to Guatemala. A Coast Guard detachment aboard the Fife confirmed that it was properly flying the U.S. flag. The Coast Guard was suspicious since the ship was very low in the water. Not very, just low, was low in the water, suggesting it was carrying heavy cargo. Undisclosed cargo? I guess you have to declare this stuff at customs or whatever. Oh, goodness, I'm a bad reactor. Yet there were no cranes or other equipment that a legitimate fishing vessel would be expected to have. Instead, there were several large shipping containers. Via radio, they asked the Joint Interagency Task Force, WEST, a consortium of various federal law enforcement agencies, for permission to investigate further, since smugglers and drug traffickers were known to use that route. Ooh, the details getting interesting now. After receiving permission to do so, the Coast Guard boarded the KD-2. The stench of decaying fish quickly led them to a large quantity of shark. They were in bundles on the deck, the shipping container, and filling most of the 40-ton, 36 metric ton hold, where the ammonia odor was so strong that the Coast Guardsman who found them had to breathe through his mouth since it burnt his nose. I nearly forgot about this. Oh man, how did I forget? Like, I remember that amused me at the time I first read this. But only now, upon getting this far, is that memory coming back. Since no corresponding carcasses could be found, the task force told the boarding party that this indicated a likely violation of the SFPA and to consider the ship a crime scene, as the fins were contraband. The ammonia smell. Oh. I wrote an alleged article about this. I don't know where it is, though, now. It's probably in my Google Drive. Shoot. I'm just going to pull it up here. Found it. Wait a second. No. Oh, no. Hold on, you're not seeing the right screen yet. The only thing I wrote was an outline. There it is. Oh, man. It's not an actual article. I had a habit of leaving lots of untitled documents around in my Google Drive, so maybe it's in one of those, but doubt it. I think I was too insecure to follow through. 2 days later, the cutter Chase took over, escorting the KD-2 to San Diego. Along the way, the investigation continued. The Coast Guard reported that the four-man crew was cooperative with the investigation, largely sitting back and watching television in the lounge. Since they claimed not to offend the sharks themselves, they believed they had not done anything wrong. Ship's records revealed that the KD-2 had met fishing vessels, primarily Korean longline fishing boats, at prearranged locations on the high seas near Fiji and the Solomon Islands, and bought the fins for a total of $250,000 on an earlier voyage that summer. This is getting... Oh. The refrigeration unit on board had broken before the ship had left Honolulu, and the fins were out on deck in an attempt to dry them out and reduce the odor. That's why they stunk. All the fins were put on trucks to be secured in cold storage, pending legal proceedings. At 32.3 tons, the total was more than twice the anticipated amount, making it the largest seizure of shark fins ever. It was estimated that the fins represented a total of 30,000 sharks taken. That, oh man, I looked at, no man, I thought it was like hundreds, not thousands, tens of thousands. I'm noticing how long this article is. Yeah, I know I didn't have the patience at the time to read this whole thing. It'd be an injustice to stop now, I guess. I don't know. I worry about this. Like, this is plagiarism. Isn't this like, is this plagiarism? I mean, it's Creative Commons, isn't it? Like, this is, Wikipedia is a free resource, and if I'm obviously showing you that I'm reading from it, it's half of the screen. And I just watched H. Bar Guy's video on plagiarism last night. I don't want to be crap. I'm also tempted to say, what else is there to note about this? Because it seems kind of cut and dry. Not dried out enough. Well, no, it wasn't. It's not. This is about unreasonable search and seizure, wasn't it? Well, I haven't heard that explicitly referenced yet. Maybe it shows up here. Lastly, Tai Long had argued that even if the KD2 was a fishing vessel under the statute, the interplay between the two sections of the SFPA and its implementing regulations rendered them unconstitutionally vague, making it impossible for it to easily determine whether the statute applied to the KD2. It argued that this failure of the government to thus provide adequate notice that the law would be enforced against such vessels was a violation of their right to due process. Okay, so that's what I was looking for. I guess I should at least skim the context, because I skipped some stuff here. For several people here, charged Tran Yu Tai Long Hong Marine Products Limited of Hong Kong, for whom the fins had been bought, and Qian Tan Yuan, captain of the KD2, sure I mispronounced that, with 26 counts of violating the SFPA. I'm sure I've mangled the grammar of that as well. They were assessed fines of $620,000, the highest civil penalty ever levied for a violation of the act. Tai Long believed the government had exceeded its statutory authority by confiscating the fins. It argued that before Judge Barry Ted Moskowitz that a federal district judge for the Southern District of California who granted an injunction against NOAA, prohibiting it from selling the fins itself. The company and the agency then agreed that in return for the former putting up a $775,000 bond, that it would take possession of the shark fins, although they remained in cold storage pending the outcome of the case. Tai Long pre-sold the fins for an almost equal amount to the fine against it. NOAA then initiated a civil forfeiture action with the bond substituting for the fins. Wait a second. Wait, so civil forfeiture took the bond, the cash fine, the bond, or the fins? What? Or something about them being pre-sold. We have citations. Shark fins 1 at 1098. Wait, what? Okay, I clearly don't know how citations work. This is not a link to click on. Shark fins 1? Maybe I'm an idiot. Alright, I'm gonna be candid with you. I'm kind of bored at this point. This is supposed to be a low effort video because I wanted to make a video about a Mori that was like 32 minutes long. That's a lie. I wanted to make it an hour long, but I accepted I have to make it shorter, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling to do the YouTube thing. So, whatever. Have a good day. You deserve it. Shark fins. Weird.